What's up, guys? Today we are going to cover Raijin. I'm going to go back into doing jungle guides, god guides, whatever you want to call them. But today we're going to do Raijin, newest god in Smite that you can actually play. That hasn't been talked about too much. We're going to cover the build, we're going to cover the abilities, we're going to cover how to use the abilities. I'm going to kind of show you guys the combos and how I use them, especially out of the jungle. He's pretty fun to play in the jungle. I don't think he'll be competitively used in the jungle, but maybe in ranked, a lot in casuals. It's really fun to play, so I recommend trying it. We're gonna go ahead and jump into that right now. Alright guys, so here we go, jumping right into the build. We go Shoes of the Magi, lots of damage, and the penetration. The god is fully like about burst. You're really trying to burst a target down. You will have some longer sustain fights, but you really yourself don't have a crazy amount of sustain. You have some mobility and you have a lot of burst damage, so focus on the burst damage, which will definitely, you'll get a power boost from finishing Shoes of the Magi early rather than going CDR boots. Next in the build, you're looking at Chronos Pendant, power, CDR, like I said. Being able to get the abilities off more often in a burst situation is always going to be better. So, Bursty God, more times you can use your combos. Awesome, Chronos Pendant, pretty ideal. You can look at getting Doom Orb. A lot of my builds in my videos, you will see Doom Orb. I think optimally you want to get CDR online and skip the Doom Orb simply because it's hard to maintain stacks, hard to get the stacks up in the first place. And you can just go into Polynomicon third instead. So I pick up Polynomicon third item. The god's passive, you'll learn when we talk about abilities, is really about auto attacking ability usage and maxing your passive out. So with Polynomicon, your autos are hitting really hard with the Polynomicon up. Pretty much all of your abilities can lead into an auto. It's very often, especially with your mobility from your 3 and your ults being able to pull people in or push people away. You can get autos off fairly easily, in my opinion. So Polynomicon burst on top of how bursty the god is awesome. Fourth item, penetration. I go Obshard. I don't really know the math between this and Spear the Magus and everything now that Spear is nerfed. I just pick up Obshard all the time because I don't play mages all that often. If a different pen item is more optimal, go for it, but you definitely would pick up your pen item fourth. Fifth item, I get Rod, Power Spike. It is pretty expensive, but you get a Power Spike, you become more bursty, you get more power. Simple. Last item, Soul Reaver. God is you're trying to one-shot people, you're trying to burst people down. Soul Reaver adds to that. So you have the burst coming out from your abilities, you have a Polynomicon, and you have Soul Reaver, just like a lot of the mages in the meta right now. So now we'll jump into Raijin's abilities. The passive, every time you use an ability or you auto attack, does not have to hit anybody, you will gain a stack. Once you get to 4 stacks, the next ability used, once you're at 4 stacks, will do extra damage. You can see here the damage, right here, is 100%, plus 100% of your basic attack power. It adds a lot of burst damage, especially to an already very bursty god. Okay, first ability, your 1, basically, you have a line ability, and when you use it, it shoots 1 damaging shot, I guess, out of your left drum, and then 1 out of your right drum, and then both come out at the same time. So you got 1, 2, and then you got a double. So it is a decent amount of damage. It is not your most damaging ability. The range is very short. It can be hard to land sometimes, but once you use your other abilities, it's pretty much the go-to for damage. You have a mobility that you really don't want to waste, so this is your other damaging ability, basically. So now your 2. This is your main damaging ability. This is what you want to max, especially out of the jungle. It clears very fast, actually. It clears camps very fast, and it is a ton of burst damage. So basically what you do is you throw this little circle out. It's almost like the size of a Nemesis ult, but it can miss. You target the ground. You're not targeting a god. You target the ground, it hits the god, I believe, closest to it, closest to the middle. And then, as you can read here, his ally Raijin hides in the enemy. So basically, you can see this person that you mark, as long as you hit the ability. You can see the person for up to 10 seconds, depending on what rank it is, 4 to 10 seconds. And then if you hit them with an auto attack or ability, massive burst damage comes out. So when your passive is up, and you hit them with this burst damage, and you hit them with that Polynomicon you have, and you hit them with Soul Reaver, it's a ton of burst. It's insane. You can easily, just the 2 alone, just proccing the 2 with your passive, right now, from my experience, in mid to late game, you can half health somebody very, very easily, super easily. So, as I said, this ability, you kind of put your ally, you put this little guy inside or on the person. You have to proc it. You have to auto attack that god after hitting him with the 2. You have to use an ability on that god, or either one. You can hit him with an auto, you can hit him with an ability, but that will proc it. So what you're going to look to do is put your 2 up and ult them, which isn't very common. You can put your 2 up and you can 1 them, which we talked about as the drums being shot out in a line, which is a little bit easier to proc. I do that a lot for poke. Or you can all in. You can put the 2 up, you can use your 3, which is a teleport slash mini mez slash damaging ability. And basically you pick an area. As soon as you pick that area, if someone's in it, it mini mezzes them. They're mez for like, I don't know, half a second. It's very, not even that, it's really short, like 0.1 seconds or whatever, 0.3 seconds, sorry, it's right here, 0.3 seconds. And then you port to that area, you do damage. That will also proc your 2 if your 2 is on them. So potentially you could 2, you could blink on them, ton of burst damage, you could hit them with your drums, even more burst damage, then you could ult because you're already on top of them, so even if they jump away, your ult has a very long range and you can hit them. Now we're talking about the ult. The ult has 3 different uses basically. So when you use your ult, you go up in the air, you're kind of not really high in the air, you're just kind of floating, you still take damage, you are immune to crowd control. But you take a second, jump up into the air, and then you have this huge line ability, kind of like Mercury's ult when it's fully charged, maybe a little bit shorter. It is a very long ability though. And then you can change which part of the ult you want to use. So basically, right when you go up, if you just start left clicking to do damage, you'll as you can see, beat 1, which is as soon as you go up, that's basically hitting 1 on your keyboard. You're doing 100% of your damage. So you're doing 120 plus 50% of your magical power. It's really freaking hard. And it can be used 4 times. So basically you can hit the drums, you can hit that ability 4 times, you can hit your ult 4 times. If the target is far away and you want to get them closer, you can switch to your 2. So you go up in the ult, you press 2, and then you will begin, if you hit them with the ult, you will begin to taunt them and you will do half damage. If you're trying to live, you're trying to push them away, trying to save your team, trying to save yourself, whatever, you can press 3, and then instead of taunting them in, or instead of doing full damage, you will fear them, you will gotta push them away like a Hun Bat's ult, and it will do half damage. So a lot of the time I don't use this for defensive, I very rarely use that fear. A lot of the time I'll go up into the ult, I'll hit them with a 1, as soon as I hit them with the 1, they'll start trying to juke. So I'll take my time and I'll press 2, and then I'll taunt them in twice. I'll hit them once with a taunt, hit them once with a taunt. So there's 3 of the drums beats, the ult usage down, you have 1 left. I'll switch back to the 1 and do full damage. So basically full damage, taunt, full damage. You can switch it back and forth however you want. If the person isn't far away or isn't juking, you can just hit them with the 1. A lot of the time the taunt for me is used to stop people from juking, to pull them in, or if they're really far away and I know they'll get out of the ult, if they get that extra range, I'll just taunt them in so they can't get away. So those are Raijin's abilities. Alright guys, so here we are, jungle practice. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how the abilities work, how the passive works, basically everything. And it's easier to see, I know we talked about it, it's easier to see it and hear it at the same time and understand it that way than it is to just like read over the abilities. You know, a while ago I said reading, I said reading isn't gonna help you, meaning reading the abilities isn't really gonna give you a full understanding of what the abilities do. Granted, yeah, word for word, it is what the ability is. It's so much easier to get a full understanding, to know exactly what ability is doing, know how much damage the ability is doing. Because a lot of time you're going to think, you read his abilities and you're going to think, oh, the 1 is the clear. In my opinion, I'd much rather have the 2 for burst damage when ganking and for clearing. It's amazing for clearing. But anyway, we're going to go into it. You can see if you auto, you get a passive. We have 1 passive, 1 of our 4, right? Auto again, auto again, auto again. Okay, so we have max passive right now, right? So if we auto, it's not using the passive. If we go over here, we'll go ahead and hit the Odin real quick. We hit the Odin, passive isn't used, so it's only on abilities, like we talked about. So if we throw the 2, we'll go ahead and kill the Raw here. The 2, just like Nemesis ult, can miss. If I were to throw it over there, it wouldn't hit anybody, it would use the ability and it would be wasted. So we throw it on the Raw, and we can proc this with an auto, and we do a ton of burst. So that was a lot of burst damage, right? We did like for a level 2 just boots, hitting a level 5 target when you're level 5, that's a lot of burst damage from 1 ability and an auto attack. Imagine if you had your full rotation of abilities or you had your teammate there. Okay, so the Raw's dead now. Awesome, great, fantastic. Now we're gonna look at doing a full combo of abilities. I mentioned when we were talking about the 1, I do not like to just use the 1 all the time. I don't want to run up and just 1 the Raw, 1 my target. I really like to get the 2 up first and then go based off of that. You have a couple different options when trying to initiate a fight when bursting someone down. You can throw the 2 and then you can proc with an auto, and then you can use your other abilities in whatever way you need to. That saves your 3, which is your blink. Saves it for either securing a kill or being safe and not dying. You can throw your 2 and you can 1, which will proc the 2. It will use your passive, you'll do a lot of burst damage, and then you won't have any other damage other than your ult, realistically, because you're not maxing your 3 till last. So what I like to do, throw my 2, and at least early when it's safe, blink in. You do a lot of burst damage. You're on top of them, so hitting the 1 is very easy. And then you'll go up into your ult and you'll hit them. I just like to do the damage. I very rarely use the taunt or the fear on the ult, unless, like I mentioned when we were talking about the abilities, unless they're at max range and they're gonna get out of ult range, then I like to taunt them in and make sure they take at least some damage and they stay within range of hitting them with other abilities. So we'll go ahead and blink and get mana. So that's the blink. You do a short mez on the target and you blink to the area. You do damage, which is awesome. Go ahead and get our mana back real fast. Alright, so we got our mana. We don't need to buy anything. We're gonna go ahead and do another rotation, which is a little bit safer. As I said, early game is when I tend to use the blink more because you don't get insta-killed. Late game, you will get insta-killed. You want to save that blink from moving around. So early game, or not early game, sorry, normally in a game, I'll throw my 2, I'll burst them, and I'll just go through my full rotation of abilities, and then I'll try to back out. So I'll hit them with everything, and I'll try to get safe, use some kind of positioning to get out of the fight, wait for my abilities to come back up. So obviously a Ra could heal himself, but any other god's usually not going to be able to heal themselves. They're going to sit and maintain the back of the fight. And then I'll look to throw the 2 and blink on them and burst them down. And they're dead. Like, there's different combos with your abilities, but they're all based around the 2 and whether you should stay safe and save your 3 or you should go all in and use your 3. That's pretty much how I base my initiations in my fights. A lot of my ults are used to finish targets off that get away, or if I come into a fight late, say I'm max range, say I'm coming out of the jungle into a lane my team was fighting, I'll just jump right up into the ult. Look at how long this range is, and I'll just hit him like this and hit him with the taunt, pulls him in. You can do a lot of different combos with this god. Has a lot of different perks between burst and mobility and long range damage. You are fairly squishy, but like I said, you just have a lot of options. So that is how you want to look at using the abilities. I will now show you how I use them coming out of the jungle in a real conquest game.
Crazy mother.